I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message to all of those that is watching this video to realize how much in the following video why Michael Bay has ruined the Transformers franchise, giving us Autobots and Decepticons a bad name. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Anthony Mars Jr. on PRLostGalaxy2014 with another edition of PRLostGalaxy2014's Movie Rants, presented by my self-devoted fan page on Facebook. Transformers, huh? Yeah, I've been a long time. I have been a long fan of the Transformers franchise when I was a child. And then, as the franchises came a long way with various incarnations, as the franchise, Hasbro's other franchise compared to it, G.I. Joe's went through its ups and downs, Transformers went through a very mass amount of ups and downs, and also, even though the toys will be successful and all that, but it's certain versions of Transformers and other media that will be remarked as what made the franchise so popular and what made the franchise go down and then become popular again and then go all the way down again, then a little popular with just one feature film and then goes all the way down with its later sequels. And then by that means I'm discussing today Michael Bay's Transformers movies. But I will also discuss pretty much about the 1986 animated feature as well. And if anyone is interested in hearing me talk about the brand new Transformers Age of Extinction movie, well, unfortunately, I'm going to talk about that because before I even get Transformers Age of Extinction on DVD and Blu-ray, or on any format when it comes out on any of the two home viewing formats, I'm going to discuss and look back at the first three Transformers films plus the 1986 feature film. Although the 1986 feature film is not part of, the Michael Bay trilogy, that was 2 decades before Michael Bay put his hands and had the qualms to trash the Transformers franchise. And no offense, because I think Michael Bay did do a terrible job with Transformers. But I thought he did a good job with the franchise with its first feature film outing in 2007. Because in fact, the 2007 film The Transformers was pretty much the best film out of the original trilogy that starred Shia LaBeouf as the titular human character Sam Witwicky. No offense, but I really enjoyed the Transformers film from 2007 as well as the 1986 film. But as the original series grew on me, the original film series grew on me, however, with Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, and so forth, and also the actors behind Sam's annoying parents, and John Turturro as former Agent Simmons of the Ben Has Been Shut Down Sector 7, and Tyrese Gibson and Josh Duhamel in those movies, I came to realize that the sequels were nothing but trash themselves. And I have to agree, to an extent, with the fans of the Transformers franchise, and as well as those that went to the movies to see these movies as a whole. And why did these movies, start getting on people's nerves, hearing that these movies really did overstay their welcome? Unfortunately, Transformers, the Transformers films Michael Bay has done, it's like, I don't even know how to put my finger on it. Because when I think about it, it kind of, gets to me when I think about why did Michael Bay even sign himself on to do these films in the first place? Well, it was Steven Spielberg's idea, so he thought about it. Because I would have imagined if Steven Spielberg did a Transformers movie. But Michael Bay? I mean, really, he has really ruined Transformers, period. I mean, he just really ruined it. In regards, he really ruined Bay really did ruin Transformers. If you thought the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie was crap, just look back at what he did to Transformers and how bad he did on it. It's terrible, real terrible. Although when I first saw Revenge of the Fallen, my reaction was just plain mixed to a little negative. But by Dark of the Moon, that's when I started to realize yeah, Bay is just doing worse with Transformers. I just don't know what to say. I mean, we have our favorite Autobots and Decepticons in these movies, well, except for Skids and Mudflap, because unfortunately those two guys, they are the worst. I mean, Revenge of the Fallen had anything you could imagine that would make the Transformers franchise have a bad name now in the toys as a whole. Toys to support the films. And, like, you know, you got these racist two robots that is like the Jar Jar Binks of Transformers. If you thought Jar Jar Binks was one of the most hated movie characters and the most hated character in the Star Wars franchise, most likely if you're talking prequels, this Skids and Mudflap in Transformers is just as worse. I don't mean the Skids and Mudflap from previous Transformers incarnations, cartoons, and toys and all that. I'm talking about the Transformers of this era. With Michael Bay's name written all over the franchise. And then the way how he depicted, you know, the female characters, I just can't get, you know, I understand where Bay is getting at. Every movie he does when he degrades and over-sexualize female characters, it's really exhausting. And not only that, he goes on and on picking actresses that he wants to degrade and demean and you know, sexualize for the male audience to masturbate to. I mean, when Megan Fox came in the first Transformers movie, yeah, she was okay. But as soon as when 2 years later with Revenge of the Fallen, she slimmered her body down for the worst. And even hell, when you look at her in the new Ninja Turtles movie, she just gotten worse with the plastic surgery. She has, oh my god. I mean, really, oh my god. It's terrible. Far beyond terrible. And then Rosie Huntington-Whiteley in the third movie replacing Fox. That was just, you know, Rosie Huntington-Whiteley was crap in the third Transformers film. And I thought she was going to do better than Megan Fox. I mean, if you guys think Megan Fox was good in the first two Transformers movies and thought Rosie sucked in it, then, well, yeah, that's your opinion. But if Transformers Dark of the Moon was the worst, if I can go ahead and say who was the worst chick in the new in these movies, I would have to say, if I say Megan Fox, you guys are probably going to jump onto this case about me hating on the two leading female characters in the original series with Shia LaBeouf, once again talking about, and say that Megan Fox was better. Rosie Huntington-Whiteley was nothing, because Rosie, she doesn't even know squat shit how to act and all that. You know, those kind of responses. I can just imagine it from you guys right now. And I also wanted to point out about Rosie Huntington-Whiteley's appearance as Carly Spencer. You see, Carly is not supposed to be, you know, like what she is in Bay's film of the franchise, because when I just look at Carly Spencer, actually, you see, in the original cartoon, it was Carly Miller. But they changed it to Carly Spencer for some sort of reason. I don't even understand why they did that. I mean, Carly Spencer, give me a freaking break. And, yeah, and then that's just like how I remembered about with the effect of, changing the last name of Batgirl and Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin, and when they did the same thing from changing from Barbara Gordon, who is Commissioner Gordon's daughter, to the niece of Alfred Pennyworth. But that's the same thing they did here in Transformers Dark of the Moon, when they did the same thing for Carly, changing her last name from the cartoon series from Miller to Spencer. And not only that, every time I look at Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, she just reminds me too much of a modern-day Jerry Hall. And actually, in fact, I think that's the vibe that Rosie was going for in the third movie. Every time you just look at Rosie, she's like Jerry Hall in this day and age. When you just see her next to Sam, I mean, while Shia is playing Sam Witwicky, it's like compare Sam and Carly like the Mick Jagger and Jerry Hall of the film series of the third movie. But except Sam Witwicky is not no fucking rock star, okay? In the third movie, he went from being a high school student, graduate from high school for somehow off-screen, all the way transition to the second film. Then after the second movie, after flunking out of college a little bit, he finds a job. Wow, that is poor character development for this guy. And I feel sorry for Shia LaBeouf's character as well. I used to have so much honesty, loyalty, and respect for Shia LaBeouf, because when I was a kid, I used to watch Even Stevens on Disney Channel. And he came a long way with Transformers, and then after the Transformers films with him in it, in a trilogy with him in it that lasted from 2007 to 2011, which, by the way, in 2011, this movie came out weeks after, Transformers Dark of the Moon came out in June of 2011, the month of my graduation from Gaithersburg High School, and then all of a sudden, it came along, the films came on a very long way to a very bad note. Like, have these movies 2 years apart from each other, like the first movie 2007, second movie 2009, third movie 2011. Wow. And then here we are with the new film, Age of Extinction, in 2014 with Mark Wahlberg. I feel that Age of Extinction, well, I'll tell you what my honest opinion will be on that when I talk about that movie soon, trust me. Because when I do another edition of Movie Rants on Transformers movies, I will talk about Age of Extinction. Well, when I get a chance to see it on DVD, or Blu-ray, I will see if this movie does have a significance to me or not. But if it doesn't have significance to me, then yeah, Michael Bay needs to give up on Transformers. And also, one of the things I also wanted to put out to mind to those that I think what we should suggest Paramount to do is that Paramount Pictures, the studio bargaining holds that's backing the rights, the motion picture rights to Hasbro's brands Transformers and, of course, G.I. Joe. What they should do, since if the Transformers and G.I. Joe live-action movies didn't fare well with moviegoers, what I think they should do is that Paramount should just automatically lose the movie rights to Transformers and G.I. Joe respectively, and revert movie rights to G.I. Joe and Transformers back to Hasbro. And that way, Hasbro can start their own motion picture film studio themselves, just like Marvel is currently doing. When Paramount stopped distributing Marvel movies since Disney holded the rights after the Avengers, even though you still got the Paramount Pictures logo tag on the side, on the sidebar of the Iron Man 3 DVD and Blu-ray release. But what they should do is, like Marvel with their recent movies like Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy, they should, Paramount should just drop movie rights to Transformers and lose them. Because people are not enjoying the Transformers and G.I. Joe movies. Well, the 2007 Transformers movie may have a cult following. The sequels will tend to suffer and have a hard time following how much successful the 2007 live-action film did. Because it's just disappointing watching these latest installments. Any film after Transformers 2007 pretty much sucks. Well, in fact, the more times I watch either Revenge of the Fallen or Dark of the Moon or the new one, Extinction, it's kind of, it's just hard to follow, again, how much the first movie was so successful and why it had such a heartfelt cult following. And also, although the flaw that I have with the first, 2007 film was that for the Transformer robots themselves, they only had 5 Autobots, including Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, and 8 Decepticons, including Megatron and Starscream. That's like, wow, that just outnumbered the Autobots for the amount of Transformer characters present. Well, in the toy line for the 2007 film, you have more Autobots to have around with Optimus and company, whereas the Decepticons get even larger in scale and life and all that, with more Decepticons recruited as the live action films go on. And not by any means, but it's just stupid that we have to see, see these characters getting downplayed. And what I think they should do for future Transformers movies is to lay off on the human characters, save that on, for newer Transformer cartoons when they come out every 2-3 years, and just focus on the Transformers themselves more often. People are tired of these movies focusing on the human characters. Whether it's on Shia LaBeouf's character, Sam Witwicky, or Mark Wahlberg's recent Cade, whatever his last name, I forgot his name, is called, character. And we can just, focus on the Transformers, and also what they also should do is reboot the Transformers franchise. I understand they're going to have, Paramount and Hasbro is going to refuse rebooting the franchise because they feel that as much as people still tend to bash on Michael Bay, as much as I started to kind of start bashing on himself myself, I decided to suggest they should reboot the franchise. And if I can go ahead and say, if there's any good film directors out there that likes Transformers, grew up with the brand since 30 years ago, by the way, this year does mark the 30th anniversary of the Transformers franchise, I think what they should do for the 5th up-and-coming installment, since it's already recently been announced to be getting ready to go into development and production and all that, is that they should just make the 5th installment an entire soul reboot. And instead of picking and also going by the roots of Michael Bay's movies and starting fresh and new, rather than doing what Bay already did by demeaning his female characters, that targets mainly 14-year-old boys, and also making the main male character dumb and clumsy and sometimes hesitant in things at times, and that's one of the things that is really irksome about Bay's Transformers as films, and what someone who should do the films right wouldn't really do. And that's the thing. Also, the way how the Transformer robots themselves are played is really downplayed themselves. There's just not that much screen time on the Autobots, but at times when there are certain scenes with the Decepticons, it's like overloading more time and eating up more time from Optimus Prime and the rest of the Autobots, which is really disappointing on my end of liking Optimus and Bumblebee and Ironhide and Ratchet and company of the Autobots, of the Autobot army. But come on. You guys are, these movies have been dumbing down for the last 3 movies in a row, now going on, now 4, that has ever dumbed it down the Autobots, and also shortening their time and eating up time, but having their time, screen time in these movies being eaten up by the Decepticons, which is just plain selfish on the filmmakers' end, and the screenwriters' ends as well. That's one of the things I don't like. And also what makes the movies even worse is the amount of explosions in this movie. We get it. If you look at the original Transformers cartoons and stuff back again, the G1 cartoons, and pretty much some of Beast Wars and Beast Machines and Transformers like Cybertron and Transformers Prime, you don't see that much explosions in the cartoons at all. In the Michael Bay movies, there's like a whole buttload of explosions to be thrown around. Like, that's one of the Bay-isms. This is a term that's been coined by fans as Bay-isms when it comes to Michael Bay handling the Transformers franchise. It's really annoying. It's really annoying seeing all of these explosions now. And I just don't understand how to put my foot on it, but it's just stupid. Real stupid, And on account of that, how many explosions and such do we really need in these movies? And also, what Bay is doing is basically, the 2007 film is being a little faithful to its source material, while the sequels tend to be, like a throwaway Transformers movies. What they should do is, stick to what the cartoons and stuff was like in the comics, instead of going by all this other hullabaloo crap that nobody likes when they go to the theaters and see that, yeah, they were releasing a new Transformers movie, and see how much money these movies are still going to keep getting. But we can't keep, tending ourselves and also thinking, avoid, having so much fun. But instead, as we sit through these movies and seeing how much Michael Bay tends to take a shit on the franchise, and also take the entire Transformers, source material and wipe his ass with the entire source material. The toys, the cartoons, the comics, you name it. With anything with the Transformers related to them. And that's just sad. Real freaking sad. But I'm still pretty impressed with what they did with the Dinobots in Age of Extinction, because we should have had the Dinobots in Dark of the Moon, but what the hell. And even had the opportunity to have the Dinobots in Revenge of the Fallen. But unfortunately, that's a good thing they saved it for 2 sequels later. 2.5 sequels later, actually, by that means. So, seeing Grimlock and Sledge and all those other Dinobots, yeah. It's great to see them around. So if I can go ahead and say which of the Transformers movies of the Michael Bay series is the worst out of all of them, I would say, well, I can't say Age of Extinction because I haven't seen it yet, but I will eventually do a movie review on it as soon as I review these three films here of the original Sam Witwicky, which I would like to coin as the Sam Witwicky trilogy of Transformers films. Because Shia LaBeouf has been in these movies for 3 movies straight, while Mark Wahlberg was in the new recent Age of Extinction. But again, if I can go ahead and say which of these Transformers movies is the worst, I'm going to say Dark of the Moon. Because Dark of the Moon was okay, but the only best thing about Dark of the Moon was its over-grueling finale that took place in the city of Chicago, where Sentinel Prime enslaves every human on Earth. The Decepticons take over, the Autobots disappear for a little while, and seeing chaos immerse in the city of Chicago. But still, the way how they did the finale against Optimus versus Megatron and Sentinel Prime seemed a bit anticlimactic to me, which I had mixed feelings about at that point. But I can't even fully explain it with my mixed response to how it felt very anticlimactic, the way how Optimus Prime killed Sentinel Prime. And also not only as much as I don't like Dark of the Moon that much, not even Revenge of the Fallen, but Dark of the Moon, the only best things I've ever liked about Dark of the Moon was the cinematography and the way how the way how the action was shot, and the way how the battle was animated throughout the live action city environments, and also the way how the explosions were executed. But the explosions the explosions are still as worse as ever. But we could have seen worse for future Transformers movies coming out. Hell, you don't even hardly see that much you don't even hardly see this kind of stuff much in the G.I. Joe movies, because I haven't discussed that much, because there's nothing much to talk about the G.I. Joe movies since, well, the G.I. Joe franchise is, well, dead, thanks to the live action films Rise of Cobra and Retaliation. But the Transformers movies has already been ruined. I feel like I don't really care for the Transformers franchise anymore. If anything, I'd rather rewatch episodes of Generation 1, Beast Wars, and Transformers Prime. But anything other than these movies, well, I have nothing else to say. If you like these movies, more power to you. But I will still defend the 2007 film, but still have mixed to negative feelings on the sequels and the new film, which I still haven't seen yet, but I will again. So, what do you guys feel about the Transformers movies? I understand a lot of you guys hate them, and some of you like them. Let me know what you think in the comments section. I don't have anything else to say. But still, what they should do, and go ahead to do it in final thoughts, is I think Paramount should just lose movie rights to Transformers, revert the movie rights to that and G.I. Joe back to Hasbro. Hasbro can go ahead and establish their own film studio and make their own, movies of the respective properties, if they're going to be well received or not, and make a whole hunkload of toys like they will usually do, mainly Transformers. G.I. Joe has just died out and phased out thanks to the 2 live-action films that we still have in its with their idiocies, and so on. And also find a well-known film director that does a whole hunkload of action movies, whose name I will not know, and will go ahead and reboot the Transformers franchise with his vision and his take on the franchise. Would you guys like to see a different film director do the franchise instead of Michael Bay? It would be a so hell yes if someone else did. But I would have wished that if J.J. Abrams did a Transformers movie. But sadly, he's hung up with Star Wars right now with the up-and-coming Episode 7. And who knows on his third Star Trek movie. So what do you guys feel once again about these movies? And also after this, and also before I leave, who is your favorite leading female character in these movies, and who was better, Megan Fox, Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, or that other chick? Well, by the way, I also noticed that the chick that's playing Mark Wahlberg's character's daughter is the same girl that was also shamefully from M. Night Shyamalan's Last Airbender movie based on Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I was like, oh fuck. This is going to be like the Last Airbender of Transformers movies did. Well, what the hey. So anyway, this ends my movie rant on the Transformers movies. I hope you guys look forward for my movie reviews on all of these movies, and as well as the 1986 film. Sorry I didn't mention much about the 1986 movie, but I will talk about it in another movie rant on that, and also a review on it as well. Sorry about that, because as much as I am still a little ticked on the Bay films, I just don't feel like talking about the 86 movie right now. And for the day and tonight. So this is Anthony Mars Jr. on PRLostGalaxy2014 logging off and also shutting down Teletran 1 for the night. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching and listening. And this discussion here on Teletran 1 and Terra Ventures Conference Hall is now over.